Kristen's guilt over killing LaRose starts affecting her work. She confides in Dr. Boggs, who promises to keep her secret. Bishop Marks gives the team a new case. Townsend, who has donated a lot to the church, wants an exorcism. Ben suggests they listen to Townsend to learn more about him. While searching Townsend's apartment, they find a sigil map like the one they've been studying. During a dental procedure to shave her unusually long canines, Lexus bites off the dentist's finger but doesn't remember doing it. Kristen keeps this from her daughter. Ben is visited by a succubus named Abby, who torments him in his sleep. Kristen and David present their findings to Bishop Marks, who approves the exorcism against their advice and asks them to be present. While monitoring Townsend through his computer, Ben is shocked when Townsend looks directly at him and starts laughing manically. Bishop Marks gives David a strange case. Raymond Strand, a construction worker claiming that the archangel Michael acts through him. Raymond's pregnant wife, Ashley, is worried because he's giving away their stuff and treating her poorly. A nun called Sister Andrea teaches David on how to focus on his visions. Townsend, angry that his exorcism is delayed, breaks up with Cheryl. Cheryl kicks him out and won't reconcile. When Raymond's condition worsens, Bishop Marks speaks to him, but finds Ashley has been turned into salt for not believing her husband. David hears Townsend's confession. Townsend provokes him, but David stays calm. Back in his room, David finds Sister Andre working on the sigil map. She offers to help. With Sister Andrea's help, David deciphers one name on Townsend's map, Mathilda Mowbray, a foster child of Catholic Muslim parents accused of setting fires. Mathilda denies it, claiming a demon and a freight haunts her. Cheryl visits Dr. Boggs under a fake name for advice on reconciling with Kristen. Kristen has a dream that compels her to a bar at night, where she nearly goes home with a man but stops herself. Driving home, she feels a burning sensation on her neck and sees a demon in her back seat. Boggs learns Cheryl's real identity. The team sets up a Catholic exorcism for Mathilda, but her mother also brings an imam for a Muslim exorcism. David convinces both to cooperate. Boggs confronts Cheryl and decides to stop treating her but agrees to help her find another therapist. The exorcism drives out the Ifrit, but it attaches to Kristen instead. Mathilda watches as a trash can beside her catches fire like the Ifrit. David prepares to give his first homily, which starts with a discussion on race, displeasing his instructor. A family asks the team to find their son Wyatt, who vanished months ago, leaving a pentagram mark in his room. Kristen's daughters deduce Wyatt played the elevator game, a Japanese legend about a passage to hell. They hear a recording from Wyatt's girlfriend, Felicia's best friend, revealing Felicia tried to rescue Wyatt and got lost too. Vanessa encourages Ben to try this game. David meets other black seminarians who question the church's treatment of black priests, echoing Townsend's doubts about his loyalty to an institution that disrespects him. Ben completes the game and gets trapped in a sub-basement, finding Wyatt and Felicia's decaying bodies. Abby tries to push Ben into despair, but he resists. David and Kristen rescue him, and Ben breaks down in tears as they bring him to safety. Father Mulvihill, David's new exorcist, discreetly asks for help. David thinks it's a small gambling problem, but finds out Mulvihill is $40,000 in debt. Mulvihill refuses to take time off to deal with it. Leela and her friend Alex seek a psychic's help for Alex's father, mistreated by his employers. The psychic gives them 2 potions. One makes Alex's father sleep in, avoiding a serious accident, and the other makes his abusive manager appear drunk, leading to his firing. David enlists Sister Andre for Townsend's exorcism, mistrusting Mulvihill. His suspicions are right, and Mulvihill botches the exorcism. Sister Andre steps in, scares Townsend with ammonia disguised as holy water, and then refuses to help further. Mulvihill agrees to treatment to avoid being reported. Leela and Alex are upset to find Alex's father. Now the new manager is abusing workers just like his former boss. After a white cop shoots a black driver, the police union asks the team to prove the officer might have been possessed. The team is disgusted but forced to accept. They discover the officer is part of the Protectors, an NYPD clique obsessed with the cop show Justice Served. The show's producer, Mick Carr, claims he only wants to promote a positive image of the police. The assessment is canceled when a grand jury refuses to indict the officer. However, David and Ben face police harassment for investigating Carr. Ben tries using a video game recording to induce lucid dreaming and sees David beside him. Kristen, increasingly unnerved by the LaRue inquiry, sees LaRue's ghost, who tells her she's a born killer. Detective Bird then reveals she knows the truth and promises to protect Kristen from any consequences. The bishop sends the team to an upstate monastery to investigate Father Thomas, a deceased monk being considered for sainthood. They must evaluate his perfectly preserved body in proof of a miracle, all while observing a vow of silence. Kristen is appalled by the monk's chauvinism but bonds with a Dutch-speaking nun, Fenna, who bears Christ-like wounds. David, struggling with his attraction to Kristen, joins the monks in worship but finds no solace. Ben secretly investigates the crypt. Kristen, irritated, breaks her vow, causing Fenna and the monks to develop hideous wounds, prompting an exorcism. The demon turns out to be an outbreak of botflies. Father Thomas's body begins to rot, disproving his saintliness. The team leaves after the body is reinterred, and Kristen leaves a gift for Fenna as a symbol of their bond. Andy comes back from Colorado and finds Kristen drastically changed. She's more aggressive, even assaulting a man at the grocery store for cutting in line. Bishop Marks assigns the team a new case involving an experiment that stimulates subjects' brains with magnetic waves to trigger spiritual visions. Ben, David, and Kristen participate. Ben sees his late mother. Kristen has a false vision where David discovers she murdered LaRue, and David sees nothing. Sister Andre warns David that using technology has disrupted his connection to God. Realizing how his absence affected Kristen, Andy decides to give up his climbing career to save their marriage, but when he asks Kristen to do the same, she refuses, insisting her work is too important. The team presents their findings to the bishop, but for the first time, they all disagree on the next steps. That night, Kristen sneaks out of bed, heats her crucifix, and burns it into her skin, adding to several similar marks. An Air Force pilot and a college student report seeing a mysterious flying object, prompting the team to investigate its true nature. Kristen and Ben quickly realize it's not human-made, leading the church to send a special investigator from Rome. However, a mysterious man shows up, shuts down the inquiry, and convinces the witnesses to recant. David identifies him as part of the entity, the church's secret service. Noticing her daughters mimicking her bad behavior, Kristen decides to work on her anger after talking with David. Meanwhile, Townsend meets his demon therapist again, but loses it when the therapist questions his commitment to the plan. In a rage, Townsend decapitates the therapist and serves him for dinner with Cheryl. Frustrated by the church's interference, David convinces Kristen and Ben to carry out an off-the-books investigation into RSM fertility. While investigating RSM fertility, Kristen finds out that Dr. Kara Autry has been paying to keep her eggs frozen for 6 years. When Ben and David follow her, they spot her entering Townsend's apartment complex. Meanwhile, Ben tries to support Vanessa with her sister Maggie's interference, but he panics when he realizes Maggie has taken Vanessa's place. Townsend introduces Cheryl to his associate, Edward, who along with Townsend drugs Cheryl to paralyze her and injects her with an unknown substance. Townsend also checks on Dr. Autry, who is being held captive in his apartment. Kristen gets a court order to transfer her eggs to another clinic, but one egg is missing. David encounters Edward with a cheerful Cheryl while searching for Townsend. Townsend starts using Cheryl in his schemes as a honeypot. The IRS asks the church to assess the new ministry of Satan for tax-exempt status. During their investigation, Kristen sleeps with Graham, the ministry's founder, and feels guilty about cheating. After Dr. Boggs suggests a new prescription, Kristen accuses him of manipulation and ends their relationship. The team informs the IRS that the ministry is a scam. When confronted by Graham, Kristen lies about her encounter with him. David and Kristen attend Townsend's last 2 exorcisms. In the first, Kristen has a disturbing vision of a demon emerging from her womb. In the second, she experiences physical pain but manages to drive the ifrit from her body through prayer. Later, she and Andy reconcile after performing a Tibetan Buddhist purification ritual. Meanwhile, Townsend is pleased to find that the ifrit has taken possession of him. Kristen attempts to reconcile with Dr. Boggs, who then asks her to help one of his former patients, Nathan. Nathan believes demons are tormenting his home and his son, Elijah. Meanwhile, David has a meeting with a black former Catholic priest who urges him to leave the church, sowing seeds of doubt in David's mind. During their investigation, Ben finds an antique doll in Nathan's attic, similar to one Cheryl owns and believes is possessed by a demon. Sister Andrea shares with David that she gave up a great love to become a nun, suggesting that their sacrifices serve a higher purpose. The church assigns Gregory, a layperson, to cleanse Nathan's house. The exorcism fails, and Nathan, desperate for relief, requests the return of his doll, seemingly accepting a demonic presence if it means ending his torment. Meanwhile, under Edward's guidance, Cheryl commits 2 sinful acts, earning her a place in a secret society representing the 60 demonic houses on Earth. She accepts a sigil and undergoes an initiation ritual to formalize her new position within the group. As David's ordination day nears, he takes on one last case involving Mitch Otterbein, who fears a demon is pushing him toward cannibalism. Initially, the team thinks Mitch is mentally ill, but David has a revelation when he encounters Mitch's demon firsthand. Sister Andrea explains that she and David are among the rare few who can see demons because of their closeness to God. Meanwhile, Dr. Boggs, shaken by an encounter with George, decides to take a 2-month sabbatical to regain his sanity. As David gets ordained, Townsend uses his new position as a church assessor to seize control of Mitch's case. He invites Mitch to a gathering of 60 demonic masters, where they induct him by having him eat the flesh of a deceased member. After discovering that Townsend has been in contact with Lexus, Kristen considers killing him. Instead, she turns to David, confesses her murder of LaRue, and breaks down emotionally. Their shared moment culminates in a kiss, deepening their bond amid the chaos.